Welcome to Reawaken the Dream, a course for the writer mom. This is lesson 3, so if you're just coming in new, you will want to start back with lesson 1 because they are sequential. This is lesson 3 of 35 lessons. It's a long course, but it's absolutely free, so please enjoy this course for the writer mom. You don't have to be necessarily a mom to enjoy the course. The point that the course makes is that it gives you the ability to write under conditions where you have to write in small time fragments, where you don't have the luxury of sitting down with a lengthy session to write. And so that can tend to make you feel that you can't write because you can't devote the time to it. But I say you can if you have 2 important tools. The first tool is the power of connecting threads, and we're teaching that tool through the concept of a note box. And this is part 2 of how to use the note box to give you the power of connecting threads. And we're sure going to see a lot of threads show up in this lesson. As a quick review, last week we talked about the scaffolding that goes into our note box. The scaffolding was a set of directory and topic cards that kept us oriented to where we were in the note box. So we always knew what topic we were on, what the general subject matter was, and so we could always navigate from the general to the specific to find where we wanted to be. We played with a scenario where our hypothetical writer mom is sitting down with her son Toby to gather some fascinating facts about jellyfish. And so we used as our illustration examples where we started with division 6000, which we declared to be our general knowledge division. Then we focused in on a subdivision, 6300, which was our science subdivision. Then we focused on 6320, which was biology within science. And then within biology, 6323, animals. And we use the analogy for this of birds who are creating a bird's nest to incubate their eggs. And they begin by creating a broader structure with heavier twigs on the outside and finer twigs as they move towards the middle. Then suddenly, after the last layer of the finest twigs, the search changed completely. It was no longer looking for wood. Now it was looking for the softest material that they could find to create the little bed where the eggs would be laid. Perhaps some fur, if they could find fur. And so we noted that after we had broken our directories down as far as we could, then we declared topics, which are like the fur. And like the fur, we couldn't know in advance what the topics were going to be. We just take them as they come. And the first one that we played with was jellyfish. After we had set up all of our scaffolding, then we took a look at some informational cards that our writer mom found with her son Toby. She collected a number of pieces of information, 7 in all, and noted that the cards and the information that we found naturally fell into an outline structure where she had 3 main topics: that the jellyfish were 95% water, that they were composed of 3 layers, and that they've been around for 500 million years. But then she and Toby could break down the 3 layers into what those layers were: epidermis, a jelly-like middle layer, and the digestive layer, and then finally, under the digestive layer, what the jellyfish eat. So since this had a very natural outline structure, our writer mom could finish the numbering of each card by simply assigning it the outline number. And this way, each card fits the requirements that we set out last week. Every card gets a number. Every number is unique. If we throw the cards on the floor, you can rebuild the deck completely just from the numbers on the card. And that was where we left it last week. This week, we're going to look for some more connecting threads. we could clearly feel the connection, the top-down connection from general knowledge all the way down to jellyfish. That was a clear connection. But now we're going to look at some other natures of collections. The top-down approach felt an awful lot like a table of contents to our cards. Well, now we're going to look at the companion to a table of contents, which is an index. And we're going to look at indexing. What gets indexed? Well, an index is going to function just like the index of a book. When you go to the index of the book, all the topics are in alphabetical order, all keywords, and the keyword will tell you what page in the book to go to find where that keyword is used. It's going to be just the same with our index in our note box, except the entries will be made on cards, and they will point to card numbers rather than page numbers. So what are we going to index? We'll index every directory card. We will want to make an index entry for that. We will automatically want to make an index entry for every topic card, and we might want to make an index entry for main cards. Okay, well then when do we want an index entry for main cards? A bottom line is up to you, but some guidelines. In general, if you've introduced a new key term, you'd probably want to put a link to the main card that defined that term. If you have an entry in one area that references an entry in another area within your notebooks box, you might want to put that one in the index as well so that you can find them together in the index. And if any card is just important to you and you want to be able to go directly to that card for whatever reason, then you would probably index that card as well. So, what does an index card look like? An index card is an alphabetical card. We're going to be creating 26 of them as part of the homework for this lesson. The letters A to Z, all 26 letters of the alphabet. That number 1 after it indicates that this is the first card of that letter. Some letters grow faster than others. You know how the letter S is. You'll be on card 2 in the S's before you know it. So this will be the nature of the card. At the top, they'll be headed up with the letter of the alphabet. So let's take a look at what the index entries themselves look like. We said that we would make an entry for every directory and every topic card. So let's take a look at those. Our first one is general knowledge. It will give us 2 cards, general knowledge. The letter G and the letter K. After that, we broke it down into science. Entry in the S's for science. Beyond that, we broke it down into biology. We have an entry in the letter B's for biology. And then we broke biology down to animals, and that gives us an entry in the letter A. That's all of the directory cards that we played with last week. But we said we would do every directory card and every topic card. During the lesson last week, we created a topic card for jellyfish. So we would have a directory entry in J for jellyfish. And as part of your homework assignment last week, I'm sure you all did your homework, we created another topic entry for the topic dinosaurs. And so we have 2 topic cards, index entries, the topic jellyfish and the topic dinosaurs. Now we said that we might want to index a main card. So here's a couple of examples of indexing a main card. In this first example, it's an example of using a key term. We introduced the term epidermis, which was the outer layer of the jellyfish. So we created an entry under the E card for epidermis that points to the main card. And we also had an example of the second type, where a card ties to another section of the box. In this case, our jellyfish topic had a card that tied to our dinosaur topic, So besides the dinosaur entry that we already had, we now add an entry for jellyfish being older than dinosaurs because of the link. So let's take a look at the power of connecting threads that we now have. With the addition of an index, we now have an index cards in an index box that point up to cards in the main box, which might be directory cards or topic cards or potentially main cards. That's why I did this one in blue. And so now we have links back and forth that track all of our topics, and we can come directly into a topic from a keyword. What could be missing? We still have some more power of connecting threads to explore in this lesson. What were our sources? If you were doing a nonfiction book, or if you are writing a nonfiction book, you absolutely need to have your sources. All of your sources will be reported in your bibliography. And so we will also be using a bibliography just to track the sources that we have. So the first step that we're going to do in tracking our bibliography is we're going to give our source a nickname. In this case, we give it the nickname r.ffj. Well, why do you need a nickname? Well, pretty easy. Fascinating facts about jellyfish is a lot to have to be saying over and over or writing on a card over and over. Oh, I got this fact from Fascinating Facts About Jellyfish. You get sick of that really quick. So an efficient way of dealing with that is to give each of your sources a nickname. But if sources are going to get cryptic nicknames, you better have a way of figuring out what r.ffj means. And for that, we're going to have a registry entry. So we're going to see r.ffj going into a registry where we reserve a nickname. So what does our registry look like? Well, it looks an awful lot like an index. The only difference is each of our letters of the alphabet gets preceded with an R dot, indicating that it's a reference. I would not advise making up 26 of these because they're going to come as they do. So my suggestion would be to make these cards as you need them. And in this case, let's show an example of creating a registry entry for our fun facts about jellyfish. So here's where we registered the nickname. It's under the card RF1, and our first entry is r.ffj, Fascinating Facts About Jellyfish. So we've reserved a nickname for it. Let's see what we do with that nickname. The next thing we're going to do with it is we're going to create the actual bibliography card. Here's an example of r.ffj, our bibliography card. In this case, it just has the name of the website and the web address so that our writer mom can get back there if she wants to get back there. If you're actually doing a nonfiction book, you know all of the information that you've got to have in your bibliography, and you might as well put it all on your bibliography card. The front side of your bibliography card is going to be all the information you need to identify your source. So now both the registry cards and the bib cards will go into the bib box. The bib card has a little more information than just the information on the front. A bib card is a two-sided card. So let's look at the back side. The back side of our card, and usually the bib cards are held this way for the back side. If you're reading a book and you're taking notes on the book, you'll take notes right on the back side of this card. You'll indicate the page number where you made the note, what you found interesting about it, and you just keep this in the book as you work through the book. In this case, our writer mom added it afterwards. And so she made a note of the fact of where this bib card information went. All of these, that site served all of her entries in her jellyfish topic. So she references from the jellyfish topic, she indicates that her bib entry went there. And then she coincidentally made one more note on her bib card because there was a special bib card. If you remember the story, our writer mom had her son Toby draw a picture of the jellyfish on the back of the first card. And so she wants to remember where that drawing was. So she puts that as an entry as well on a bib card. As I said, typically when you're doing like reading books or other sources, usually the bib card will come first and the main cards will come after. We'll see that more next week when we talk about using the bib box to do research. So now, if we've got bib cards, registry cards, and our bib box, what could possibly be missing? Who is the author of that source of information? We need to know our authors. And so we're going to have yet another section of our note box will be what we'll call the author box. And we'll have an author card for each contributor of the information on our bib cards. So here's our author card for our fascinating facts about jellyfish. In this case, our author is the society, the Marine Conservation Society, rather than an individual person as an author, and we tie the nickname of the source. So now let's see how our connecting threads are functioning. Now we really do have a power of connecting threads. The index box points to the main box, and the bib box points to the main box and to the author box. And there's one more entry to tell you about. That is, we go back to the main cards that we created from our source, and we add the nickname of the source. As I said, if you're doing information from a book, you'd have the bib card first, and you would just automatically, as you create your main card, put the nickname of the source right on the card. Now you can go from your main box to your index box to your bib box to your author box. You can connect all the way around to all of the sources of information in your notebox. Give you very strong power of connecting threads, but it's not the most important power of connecting threads. Not yet. There's yet a part 3 of the notebox where we talk about the connecting threads to the most important author of all. Who is that most important author of all? Ta-da! It's you. I want you to add yourself to your author box. And not only that, I want you to put 2 entries into your author box. 2 nicknames and 2 bib cards. One will go to your current journal. Whatever journal you're actively writing in, give it a nickname, create a registry for it, create a bib card for it, and the other one, something from your past. Eventually, we would love to harvest from everything that you've written in the past, but we're going to be realistic. But pick, for next week, for the course, I want you to pick one of your past journals or something that you wrote in the past. Create a registry entry for it, give it a nickname, and create a bib card for it. And we'll be talking about how the notebox gives you the power of connecting threads to your writing and how the whole system comes together to support you as a writer mom. We have one more thing to talk about, and that is something that's a little more on the practical side. You've got this nice plastic box and a few cards. What do you do to keep the cards from flopping all over the place in your box? It's a rather practical problem. And the simple answer is you stuff it. The most logical thing to stuff it with are the blank supplies that you have on hand. If that's still too sloppy and things are still moving around, small books work. And if the small books aren't enough, a regular paperback book will work. You just have to stand it up. And I have some fun gizmos that I make to fine-tune my box because I really want to control how much space I have in my box. I make these out of junk mail. You get a lot of junk mail that's in 6-inch wide, heavy cards, cardstock. You just bundle them up, wrap them in some more junk mail, and they will let you fine-tune the exact amount of space that you've got in your box. Let me give you another pro tip for fun for your box. Pins. You might have noticed with the plastic shoebox that there's this funny little depression at the front and back of the box, and cards can get jammed in there. Take an old dead pin, stick pin is the best, but anyone will work. Just drop it in, the hole's filled. Now your cards won't get stuck in that. And you don't want to get your box too full, because one of the things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a V shape to work with them. I call that the working V. So you won't want to have your box stuffed too full, but you want it to be controlled. And stuffing it is a very practical thing to do to get you going on that. So next week, we will get back to the last of the lesson where we're going to pull the whole thing together. We're going to talk about how it's going to work to help you gather the connecting threads of your writing and enable you to do your writing across fragmented writing sessions. There is homework. If you don't yet have it, be sure to register for the class or register for my email list so that you can get the homework PDFs. It's not just a homework assignment on the PDF, it's a complete course written out for you in actually more detail than what I can present in the course of a lesson. And it's very valuable, so you really will want to get that. And there's no charge for the course, there's no charge for the PDF. I don't share your email with anything. I simply want to see you being able to write. That's my reward, you getting to write. So I will see you next week for part 3 of the Notebox. Thank you.